Avilio. Welcome, wizards, witches, and nomads. My name's David Cicello, and thank you for taking the time out of your day to visit my channel, Wands and Reviews. Originally built by Gellert Grindelwald, Nuremberg Castle was located within the Austrian Alps and functioned as a wizarding prison to hold his opponents, as it also served for his base of operations. In 1932, during the upcoming election for the Supreme Mugwump of the International Confederation of Wizards, Gellert Grindelwald wanted to win the position in order to progress his war as he saw fit, all for the greater good. He sent Credence Barebone and other acolytes to China on a secret mission, and when they returned, they had a newly born Qilin that they successfully took from a stunned Newt Scamander that they left for dead. As Grindelwald's followers went inside the castle, he remained outside with the Qilin. And without any hesitation, Grindelwald cut the Qilin's throat with a knife, and moments later he saw visions in the now pooling blood. That scene and Fantastic Beasts, The Secrets of Dumbledore, forever stayed with me. It just shows how ruthless and uncaring to creatures Grindelwald can be to get his way, and that scene made me question, what type of knife was Grindelwald using? Was it a custom blade, or was it some store-bought off-the-shelf item? I wondered because both Albus Dumbledore and Bellatrix Lestrange each had a specially designed blade in the Harry Potter movies. So, what did Grindelwald's knife really look like? As my curiosity got to me, I watched that scene of Grindelwald cutting the Qilin's throat several more times, just trying to figure out what type of blade he was using, but you just cannot see the details that clearly. So I searched for information for a long time, and I just couldn't find anything about this knife until one day I stumbled upon some behind-the-scene photos of this scene, and guess what? You can make out the details of the knife so much better. So after studying those images, I was able to deduce that the knife that Grindelwald was using is a British Robbins of Dudley 3-fingered knuckle trench knife, a knife that is extremely hard to find, but there are cheaper reproductions of the knife that were made that are just as hard to locate. Almost after 2 years of searching, I've finally been able to acquire one of the reproduction knives, which I'm guessing was also used in the film, since a real British Robbins of Dudley knife is very expensive and not as shiny or clean as the one shown in the film. The reproduction knife I acquired has stamped on the handle World War II with 5 stars. Being that I'm wanting this knife to be a replica of Gellert Grindelwald's knife, I don't want any of the stamping to be shown on the handle, so I modified the knife. Now, if this knife was a genuine Robbins of Dudley 3-fingered knuckle trench knife, I would not be altering it in any way because of history. But since this is a reproduction knife, I have no qualms of altering it. The knife is in used condition, but that is alright since it's going to be modified. On the bottom of the knife handle, there's usually a Robbins of Dudley text, but the person who owned this knife before me had already sanded it off. After I masked off the blade of the knife, I started my modification process by sanding the handle and cleaning it with rubbing alcohol. With some JB Weld, I filled in the stamped-in World War II text and the 5 stars on the handle. After it had cured, I sanded it down to be flush with the handle. I again cleaned the knife with rubbing alcohol and then sprayed on some gray automotive filler primer. When dry, I gave the handle another sanding. I then painted the handle with a base coat of metallic aluminum paint. This paint, when dry, is slightly semi-gloss, and I gave it a very light sanding. I then gave the handle a coat of specialty metallic silver, which dries in a shiny reflective type of finish. After the paint was fully dry, I took off the masking tape and buffed the blade of this knife, as the Made in China text was scratched off by the previous owner. I could not buff it out completely, so there are scratches on the blade, which I'm okay with. And this is my altered replica of a British Robbins of Dudley 3-fingered knuckle trench knife, as seen in Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore. I decided that I was not going to make the handle perfectly smooth, and I left some dings and casting marks as it helps give the knife some age. I'm really happy with how this knife turned out. It's not perfect, but I'm happy. And while I was working on this knife, I was asked, why am I doing it? And I told the person who asked me, I really like Grindelwald, and I just thought that making this knife would be something unique that I could add to my Wizarding World collection. And they just looked at me for a moment, and they said I could just wait for the Noble Collection to make one. No. I know, as you probably do, there's a slim chance, next to not going to happen, that the Noble Collection would ever make a replica of Grindelwald's knife. I'm not saying that they never will, but I just don't see them making a Grindelwald's knife in the near future, and I don't need Qilin's blood to see that. After I modified this knife, I did not know how to display it in my collection, and I really don't want anybody to mess with it since the blade is somewhat sharp, so I decided to make a box for it. I decided on the size I needed for the box to be. At first I was going to purchase a pre-made box, but I could not find one in the size I wanted, so I made my own. After I cut my wood and sanded it, I glued and tacked the box together. I decided I needed something on the box for decoration, so with my cry cut, I cut 2 of the Gellert Grindelwald logo. I glued the 2 cutouts together and then glued it onto the top of the box. I drew on my cut lines, and using a bandsaw, I cut the box in 2. I cleaned the 2 halves up, and I then started the painting process. I went with a dark brown and brushed on some mahogany color. I then proceeded to add hinges to the box. When that was done, the hard part of creating a knife bed was next. And of course, I had to felt it, so that it would look nice holding the knife inside the box. After I glued the felt pieces into place, the glue dried and pulled the felt inwards a little on the edges and around the knife area. My felting is not perfect, but when the knife is resting inside the box, it hides my imperfections. I have never made a box like this before, but I tried, and for what it is, it turned out decent enough. Since the box and the knife inside is supposed to be like 90 years old, give or take, I let the box have some imperfections. And I think this is a good way to display the knife. What do you think? Let me know in the comments section below on my craftsmanship of this box and what you think of the knife. I hope you enjoyed this prop replica video today. If you did, help me out by clicking on that thumbs up button, and if you would, subscribe to my channel if you're not already doing so. I really do appreciate it, as I'm trying to gain more subscribers, as it gives me encouragement to keep sharing with you. And please, remember to share this video with your family and all of your friends. Thank you. It has all been for the greater good.